Hello, my Bill 5000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone. What is going on over here? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with another Mr. Ballin video. This one is titled Top 3 Photos with Disturbing Backstories, Part 6. All right, I really like these ones. I don't know why. I just do. So I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. I cannot speak today. I do not know why. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's story. Go ahead, turn the lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get intrigued. This is going to be intriguing. Why? Okay. Yeah.
Today, I'm going to share with you 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I'm going to share the picture or pictures that are famously associated with them. But before I get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please fling a rubber...
Mr. Ballin Classic. The reason why you guys are getting a Mr. Ballin Classic on Monday is I record on Sunday for Monday. And at the time of this recording, he has not put up a new video yet. I go to bed decently early. So I need time to edit and upload and render and all kinds of shit. So as soon as he gets a new video up, it will be recorded and hopefully it will be out for Fridays in place of Mr. Ballin Classic. So yeah,
band at the like button, and then subscribe to this channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In 2014, a 20-year-old man living in India named Maqsood Khan had become completely and totally obsessed with tigers. His wife and his family weren't entirely sure what caused him to be so fixated on tigers, but they noticed after a kind of random trip to the zoo that he took that he came home and all he could talk about were tigers. So they figured he must have seen tigers at the zoo and just become totally enamored with them. But Maqsood's obsession with tigers was not just, love and affection for these animals, although certainly there was that. It was more of a dark fascination with tigers' savage nature. The story Maqsood used to tell all the time to his friends and family was about this tiger that was in captivity, and one day its 2 trainers had gone into the cage to put a garland of flowers around its neck for maybe some ceremony or something, and the tiger just wasn't having it that day, and when they went to put it on its neck, the tiger kind of snapped and killed the 2 trainers. Now, Maqsood was not telling the story to kind of
oh, shizzle. Maybe it didn't like those specific flowers. Maybe it was a daisies type of tiger.
Glorify the violence of it, or even to act like it wasn't a big deal that these trainers had been killed. He was telling the story with a reverence for these creatures that were kind of untamable, that even in captivity, they were in control, and he was just totally fascinated by them. In May of that year, Maqsood lost his job, something that unfortunately happened all the time for him because he was known to be kind of lazy and kind of happy-go-lucky, didn't take things very seriously. He had actually been fired from a job one time when he was supposed to be unloading sacks from a truck and got distracted by some small animal and ran after it, and his employer fired him for it. But his family depended on him, and they said, Maqsood, you got to go out and get another job. And so during the day...
Maybe he just had ADHD. That's kind of my problem. I mean, not the chasing of the small woodland creatures, but, I have a hard time staying on topic. But yeah, that's just the nicest way I can put it. Oh, God.
Maqsood would go out and tell his family, I'm going out job hunting, but what he was really doing is spending the little money his family had to go to the zoo to go look at these tigers that he was so in love with. So for the next 4 months, Maksud would just lie to his family and would go to the zoo and stare at the tigers in their exhibit. And so one day, when he was doing just that, on September 23rd, 2014, he was looking into the white tiger exhibit. Now, the way it was set up is there was an outer fence that all of the people who were at the zoo could stand right against, and it was an open air exhibit. Right on the other side of that fence, all the way around, was a little bit of land that protruded into the exhibit a little ways, and then it would drop straight down into a moat that was another layer of protection between the tigers and people, so they were not interacting. If you continued straight past the moat, it would go back up again to this little island right in the middle of this exhibit where all the tigers would spend all their time. For some reason that we don't fully understand, although one could guess that it was simply because Maksud wanted a better look at the tigers, he climbed over that first fence, the one that no visitors are allowed to cross. And he walked to the edge of that piece of land that sits over that moat. And he's looking down at the tigers, and the guards are telling him to get back on the other side of the fence. All of the other people that are there watching the tigers as well, the other visitors, they're saying, hey, come back, don't do what you're doing. And at some point, Maksud fell 15 feet into the tiger enclosure. Oh, immediately, and
oh, shit. Oh. If he thought those tigers were angry because the flowers, they're going to be really pissed off that he just dropped in for a visit. Sorry.
Alarm goes off, waking up the tigers in their habitat, so they don't know what's going on. They're kind of looking around. And the people that are watching this happen from the safety of behind this fence, they're screaming and yelling, and they're trying to get security to come over, and they're trying to save this guy. It's just chaos. But what's really happening is they're totally inciting the tigers to see what the heck's going on. And very quickly, one of the tigers notices that there is now a person, Maksud, who's in the moat. And the tiger jumps down into the moat and walks right over to Maksud. And Maksud is sitting there and he's absolutely terrified. And people said that he was just praying and he's huddled up against the side of the moat. And the tiger's just looking at him. The tiger's not showing signs that it's going to harm Maksud. But the people that were watching this happen that are on the other side of this fence are either taking videos and pictures of the event, or some of them begin picking up rocks and throwing them at the tiger to try to, I guess, get the tiger to leave Maksud alone. 10 minutes goes by and people...
It's going to get angry. That's going to be one mean putty tat.
Throwing rocks at this tiger, and the tiger gets really upset. And so what do you think happens once the tiger gets upset? It attacks Maksud. The tiger clamped down on Maksud's neck and dragged him over to a grassy kind of hidden section within the enclosure. And by the time the staff finally showed up with a tranquilizer gun, it was too late for Maksud. He was already dead. Here is the final picture of Maksud after he's fallen inside of that moat. This is taken moments before this tiger would ultimately attack and kill him. The police would ultimately charge the zoo staff with death by negligence for their incredibly long response time and for not having any alternative rescue methods in place.
Yeah, okay. I don't work at a zoo, okay? I don't claim to know a lot about big old cats. But if you're going to be at a zoo that has a cat like that, and people be stupid sometimes. Not everyone, but people be stupid. We can all agree on that. Somebody should be like right there on standby, ready to shoot the cat right in its booty with a trank. Not a bullet, but with a trank. Like, no lie. But even then, like, that could still go horribly wrong. Before the cat goes down, it's going to be loose and really pissed off and kind of groggy and drugged up, and bad things can still happen. So I'm not sure what the actual protocol is when you're being attacked by a big old white tiger. But I'm pretty sure he was screwed like the moment he went in there. I do see where they're coming from. Like, there could have been a better response. At least have someone be able to go in there like covered in steak that can run really fast or something to get their attention. I don't know. I would not want that job. That would be a pretty cool job. I wonder if you get hazard pay. I'd imagine. I'd imagine. But I really think either way that probably would have played out. Even if the other big old cats that was in there would have felt threatened, he could have still got hurt. And even if they tranked the one tiger, it probably still could have seriously hurt him or killed him in the process, especially if it's drugged up. I'm sitting there, man, you look like a fish fillet. Just saying. Just saying. Big wave.
John and Jackie Nill were a Canadian married couple that loved traveling to Thailand. In fact, they went there so often and loved it so much that they considered it their second home. In 2004, instead of spending Christmas with their family back home in Canada, they decided, you know what, we're empty nesters, we're on our own, let's go spend Christmas in a place that we love that's also warm, Thailand. And so they settled on one of their favorite spots in Thailand called Khao Lak. It's this beautiful beach town. They'd been there many times, and so they were pumped. On Christmas Day, they called their family and said they're having such a great time. The weather is beautiful. They have this wonderful beach right in front of them. And by all accounts, their vacation seemed to be going really perfectly. On December 26th, the day after Christmas, the couple woke up and decided to head down to the beach to spend the day lounging on the sand. But as soon as they stepped out of their villa and looked down at the beach, which was right outside of where they were staying, they saw this huge crowd of people standing on the sand. And even though it was early in the morning, John and Jackie knew immediately why they were down there. It was an extremely low tide. The water had receded so far that it was a spectacle. And so they had their digital camera with them and they just started taking pictures. What John and Jackie and the people down on the beach seem not to have realized is that that extreme low tide is actually
Something's like a tsunami, right? Tsunami. Whenever it all goes out and then it comes back in, you get that big old tidal wave. Yeah, I've watched San Andreas, bro. Got you.
early indication of a tsunami tidal wave, where the water basically gets sucked way out in preparation for a massive wave. What John and Jackie and everybody down on that beach should have been doing that morning is turning around
and running like, hey, maybe you had a few people out there with a bar soap and some shampoo, like, I'd been that dumbass out there probably taking pictures too until I looked up and see a big old wave coming up and I would have went, shit. I mean, you don't think about that though. You just see, oh, whoa, that's so cool. You don't think about, oh, whoa, that's so cool. Okay, click, click, I gotta go. I ain't dying today. You don't think about that at the moment. You don't think about that until the wave starts coming at you, and then you're like, oh, shit, I'm gonna die. Oh, God. All right.
and running inland as far as they possibly can go and as high as they possibly can go. But they don't do that. In fact, it looks like no one has any idea what's about to happen. And so John and Jackie continue to take pictures, and you see this massive wave coming closer and closer with every...
But in their defense, they don't live there. They visit there. They might visit there a lot, but they don't know if that might be a natural thing or something. They could have just been there like, oh, maybe this is something that happens naturally, but, some of these people ain't seeing it either, and they're just sitting there and, like, awestruck as well. Because evidently it sounds like a pretty regular vacation spot for more than just them. So they might not have been thinking, oh, shit, tsunami. Oh, bless me. Sorry. But they really might not have been thinking about it. I mean, I don't know where they're from, but I've never, ever had to deal with a tsunami. I live in Ohio, though. Like, what kind of tsunami am I going to get? If a tsunami reaches me, then I'm not bitching about it. If it can get that far. You know what I mean? Just saying. To them, they just might have thought it was like an everyday occurrence. Well, not everyday, but, just one of those occurrences that do happen. And, oh, let's take some pictures. You don't really think about the other people running in the opposite direction, if there was anyone running in the opposite direction.
Picture they're taking until it wipes out everybody down on the beach and eventually wipes out John and Jackie. They would be swept away to their death along with 230,000 other people. John and Jackie's camera would be
230,000 people was killed by this tsunami. All right. I have literally one of the most amazing researchers that has subscribed to me. They'll tell me exactly what caused the tsunami. I guarantee it. I love the information they give me. I really do. I don't even need to ask.
Found on the beach a month later. The camera itself was destroyed, but the SIM card was intact. And the person who found it would take that SIM card, plug it into their computer, and here are the final pictures that were on that SIM card.
No, you said only one. Oh, I mean, that's kind of cool looking. I mean, I can't blame people for being down there. I mean, you're getting to see some things that you don't normally get to see. And no one seems to be concerned about it because they don't know, maybe. You know what I mean? Okay, that right there, that would be scaring the living out of me right now. Like, I would be like, oh, I dumped up. I don't know if this place has really high buildings, but if I couldn't get far, I'm getting high. That came out like really, you know what I mean? Yeah. What a I've been that one idiot like I could swim. Oh God, no.
John Jones and his family were avid spelunkers, which is a term given to people who explore underground caves. In November of 2009, 26-year-old John was back home in Utah celebrating Thanksgiving with his family. During his visit, someone in his family suggested they go cave exploring like old times as a way to kind of reconnect. And so John, along with his younger brother Josh, who was 23 at the time.
Sometimes you gotta get back to your roots, you know? It's fun having those nostalgia moments. It really is. Because, you know, back in my day, we used to have this little malt shop. And I tell you what, you don't know what, you ain't lived life until you had a malt. And those things are good.
And 9 other friends and family got together and headed off to Nutty Putty Cave, which was a very popular spelunking location in their area that no one in his family had actually explored. On November 24th, 2009, around 8 p.m., John and his brother, along with the rest...
Okay. It's been a minute since y'all been doing this, and it's a cave that you all have not explored before. Right there, I would have been like, now let's go like straight nostalgia, and let's go with one that we've explored 100 times, and just, you know, re-get our bearings. I mean, it might be like one of those riding a bike situations, and you might not forget a damn thing, but I really wouldn't want to take that chance in a cave I've never been in before, unless there was someone who's been in it. I mean, if I'm going for the first time and it's been a minute, there better be someone with me that's been in it a million times and knows it better than he knows the hairs on his butt. Or her butt. Sorry.
So their friends and family enter Nutty Putty Cave, and they make their way to the section...
Plus, Nutty Putty Cave? That sounds too sweet. It's probably dangerous as shit. Oh, what is that? Like, y'all ever seen like a minx? Oh, it's so cute.
Called the Big Slide. It was not particularly challenging, and John, even though he had not been cave exploring in a really long time, felt like he could do something more difficult. So he and his brother decided to split off.
This is being cocky. That's where they fucked up. Sorry, but it is. No. Excuse me. No. Shouldn't have been cocky.
From the main group and make their way over.
And tonight is not coffee. It is homemade cappuccino. And it's amazing. The old lady makes it extra hot. That way, you get this really nice callus across your tongue. It's like, Speedway's cappuccino. Liquid lava. Stays hot forever.
Over to the most challenging section of the cave, known as the birth canal. So John and Josh start making their way over towards that section of the cave. They have a map and they're kind of trying to follow as best as they can. And John, who was leading the pair, stops when he gets to this waist-high hole in the wall that he believes is the entrance to the birth canal. When John was growing up and he used to go cave exploring with his family,
I'm not going down anything called a birth canal. No.
He was much smaller. He was a kid. Now he's a grown man. He's 6 foot, over 200 pounds, but he still had the mindset of when he was a kid. And so like a child, he sees this hole and literally goes headfirst into it without any second thoughts. So John begins painstakingly inching his way down this tunnel that's completely tight on his body. His arms are pinned under his body, and with every movement he's making, he's getting tighter and tighter. But he's convinced that this is the birth canal and that it just takes certain people that are brave enough to push past that discomfort, that claustrophobia, that if you just push past this tight section, you'll get to a place where it opens up. So John, believing this is the birth canal, kept going farther and farther into this tunnel until he's completely wedged. He has a little bit of tunnel still in front of him that actually kind of bends down in front of him. And he thinks, man, that's it. I just got to go all the way down there and I can get into that opening. And so he's caught up against a lip of rock that's underneath his ribs. And so in order to get past it, he breathes all of the air out of his lungs and he pushes himself just past the lip. And then he breathes in again, and his chest expands, and his rib cage is literally caught up on that lip because he's now moved past it. He can't bring himself back over the lip. And what's worse is as soon as he got over that little lip, he got a better view into this hole he was going down, and it dead ends. It just gets to a point. There was nothing there. It was not the birth canal. It was an unmarked tunnel somewhere in this cave. So he's trapped, and he knows it. And to make matters even worse, John was almost completely upside down. John yells to his brother and says he's stuck. Josh starts going down this tunnel and he almost immediately gets stuck, and from where he is, he can barely see his brother, who's way down this tiny little tunnel. And he knows that if he's stuck up here, his brother's really stuck. This is a very, very bad situation they're in. So Josh barely gets himself out of this tunnel and he yells to John that he's gonna go get help. But it would take 3.5 hours for the first rescue worker to arrive on scene because they are way down into this cave. This is not an easy to access area. Susie Matola was the first rescue person, and when she arrived, she said, "Hey John, how you doing down there?" And Susie would say that John sounded very distant, and he just said, "Hi Susie, thanks for coming, but I really, really want to get out." Susie immediately reassured John that she will have him out in no time, everything's going to be just fine. But when Susie looked down into this tiny little space that John was stuck in, she thought this is going to take a really long time to get him out. I mean, just to set up a pulley system to try to pull him out is going to take a long time. And then inching a 6 foot, 200-pound man out of this tiny space, that's going to take hours and maybe even days. But unfortunately, John didn't have the time. The human body is designed to be upright, with gravity helping your heart pump blood to the rest of your body. When you're inverted, blood pools in your brain and your heart cannot work fast or hard enough to get it out in time, and so it eventually causes your body to shut down. So when the trauma physician saw that John was inverted and he had already been there for 3.5 hours before rescuers even got to him, he told Susie and the rest of the rescuers that John maybe has 8 to 10 hours left to live. The rescuers tried everything to try to get John out of the cave. They put a rope around his legs and tried yanking him out. Didn't work. They set up an elaborate pulley system. It barely worked, but they kept falling out of the wall, and so it was taking all this time just to get set up, only to move him a fraction of an inch. They got drills and chisels, and they went down into the tunnel and began trying to chisel John out. But again, it was almost negligible progress, and it was just taking too much time. As the rescuers are doing everything they can to try to get him out, they noticed that John's breathing was becoming labored and his voice sounded nasally, indicating that more and more fluid was building up now inside of his lungs, and that probably they were within the last few hours that he was going to be alive. At some point, they finally got John to move just a couple of inches using this really elaborate pulley system that they had found a way to stay anchored in the walls, but they saw there was a huge problem. No matter what system they were going to use to get John out of this hole, due to the angle of the cave he had crawled into, his legs would not fit. They would not bend in the right direction on the way out. They would have to break his legs in order to curve him around this bend in the cave. With John's breathing already labored and him being basically unresponsive at this point, they figured that if they broke his legs, that would just send him into shock and kill him anyways. And so they realized that they cannot get John out of this cave. He's going to die here. 27 hours after John had become stuck, he became unresponsive and he was declared dead. The 26-year-old medical student would leave behind his wife as well as their 1-year-old daughter, and his wife was due with their second child in June of the following year. Following John's death, Nutty Putty Cave was sealed off with cement, and John's body is still inside Nutty Putty Cave to this day. And here is a picture of John exploring Nutty Putty Cave before he ultimately made his way over to that fateful tunnel that he went in headfirst and ultimately died inside of. So that's going to do it, guys. Let me know what you thought of these 3.
They just left his body in there? Could they not have gotten him out after he was dead? Just, I'm pretty sure after he's dead, he's not going to care if you're breaking his legs and pulling his damn body out. Like, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Like, if I get stuck in some weirdo Nutty Putty cave and I die somehow, I'm dead. I don't care. Get me out of there. I mean, I want out. I mean, okay. But now, here's also, he's in a cave, like, forever. Like, that is a monument that is never going to go anywhere, ever. Ever. So, I'm a little torn. Take out a piece of me. Leave the rest of me in there. There we go. We figured it out. That's what I want. All right. That's crazy. I mean, I understand the nostalgia and, getting back to, some fun. But don't get overly... I don't want to say arrogant or cocky because, I mean, it was to an extent, but don't be overly confident. There we go. That's the word. Don't be overly confident in your abilities. That poor man left behind a beautiful looking family. That's awful. I mean, I don't think you suffer whenever you go out like that. I think it's more like just falling asleep. But either way, that still has to be very scary, thinking that being stuck in a hole, knowing more than likely you're probably going to die. You're leaving your family behind. Bet the brother never went spelunking ever again. Oh my God. That's awful. Alright. See, so I love the 3-story thing. You think the first one's bad. You think the second one's pretty bad. But that last one, it might not be the most god-awful one, but it gets you in a way that you just wouldn't... Yeah. It's like, damn. Damn. Alright. Hey, I enjoyed today's video though. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's video too. And if you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're a fan of the scary, spooky, strange, deranged, things that make me very intrigued, things that make you want to cry ever so tenderly into your pillow, things that make you feel bad for the person that you shouldn't feel bad for, subscribe. We have a little bit of all that. Yeah. Alright. Be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man, that's still kind of cool, though. Like, whenever they sealed it up with concrete, that they do, like, a memorial thing to it to let people know, hey, here lies John. Be like, Bill 5000. Dumber than he looked. Don't agree. That's not fair.